those dreadful attacks on 9/11 and saying that Muslims continue to be targeted, abused and vilified, all under the glare of suspicion for a crime that we did not commit.
Developing today, Tommy Robinson has called out Humza Yousaf, the failed former Scottish First Minister, now an Islamist activist, for shocking antics in the United States, which include, by the way, denialism around 9/11. This is a really shocking story. Again, it has been ignored by the regime media. I've been following it for a number of days, so let me take you through what's been going on. Basil the Great posted, Humza Yousaf is now coordinating with Islamic groups in the United States. They use the cover of combating the made-up far right to further spread the word of Allah. He's a virulent anti-white racist, and he must be stopped. Here is the video in question. Watch.
I'm in the United States this week, meeting with the Muslim Public Affairs Council and other partners who share the same goal: to stand up against the rise of the far right. You see, what happens on one side of the Atlantic doesn't stay there. The far right are sharing messages, tactics and funding across borders. You only have to take a look at figures like Tommy Robinson, who's quoting and echoing the very same lines that we hear from hard right extremists here in the United States. Their rhetoric and their hate crosses oceans in seconds, and therefore so must our response. That's why I'm here, because if the far right can coordinate globally, then so must those of us who believe in celebrating our diversity, equality, and believe in progress, not going backwards in the 21st century. This is about building alliances, learning from each other's experiences, making sure we're all on the same page from Glasgow to Los Angeles and beyond. Let's stand together against hate, disinformation, and division. The fight against the far right isn't just a national issue, it's transatlantic and it's global. And together, we can show that solidarity, compassion, and justice are far stronger.
How absolutely chilling is that? I mean, compassion. Okay. Tell that to the women, you know, walking around like that, locked to the house. Tell that to the gay men, pushed off the top of buildings. Tommy Robinson hit back. Responding, anti-white parasite Humza Yousaf, who disgracefully resigned as Scotland's FM, made in-house rants about too many white people, is now in America with MPAC, who is said to originate from the Muslim Brotherhood, who Trump just prescribed as terrorists, calling everyone far right again. Of course, name-dropping me, as I call him, and his Pakistani Muslim brothers out, exposing them in many documentaries. Your buzzwords have no meaning, Humza. Keep my name out of your filthy mouth. And I want to show you now this secret video which has emerged of Yousaf attempting to distance Muslims from 9/11. It's the type of denialism that is actually so disturbing, and it shows you the depths that this dude will sink to. Watch.
Spoke for so many of us when he articulated with emotion, powerful emotion, just how he felt 24 years on from those dreadful attacks on 9/11, and saying that Muslims continue to be targeted, abused, and vilified, all under the glare of suspicion for a crime that we did not commit. And I think that therein lies the first lesson for us. Be unapologetic about who you are. Be unapologetic about being Muslim. Be proud of your identity as an American Muslim. You see, Muslims are not being hosted here in America. You, the Muslim community, are building America. So if you're ashamed...
To my superstar panel, Father Calvin Robinson, a crime we did not commit. That's Humza Yousaf talking about 9/11. So either he's rewriting history, or he buys into something that, in fairness, a lot of people on the right also believe that 9/11 was an inside job by the US government. What do you think's going on here? A very quick but personal message from me to you to let you know that the best way you can support Dan Wootton Outspoken is to subscribe to my Substack at www.outspoken.live. Substack is a free speech platform that protects me from big tech cancellation and lawfare. Paid annual or monthly subscribers get an extra hour of content with the Royal Uncancelled After Show available every weekday with no advertising whatsoever. You can also message me direct on there. That's www.outspoken.live.
I don't know why he's in US politics. That's what I don't know. But you're right. If he thinks that that Mohammedans did not commit 9/11, he has new evidence, then he should share that new evidence with the rest of the world, because there is one approved narrative and there are many conspiracy theories going on around 9/11, but if he has any proof or evidence, he needs to share it. I don't know what his obsession is with Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson is not even that right wing, for goodness sake. Like there are people far more right wing than Tommy Robinson in the UK, and actually I think the vast majority of people are far more right wing than Tommy Robinson. So if he thinks Tommy's the biggest threat facing the UK, he's going to have another thing coming very soon.
What did you make of this Humza Yousaf Islamist tour of the US? Howard Cox, to me, it's really chilling, actually, because it's an attempt for these two historically proud countries of the West to be undermined by this faith.
Well, I go back to what I said before. We've lost sight of actually what's decent in life, and we're seeing this, people splitting everything about us. You got him splitting thing and blaming the far right, blaming Tommy Robinson, blaming everyone else but themselves. We're seeing this non-stop. And to say that the message for the far right across the pond in seconds, and he says we've got to do the same, tit for tat rubbish. Again, I just don't understand. He's a failed politician. He's a corrupt politician. All the things that he did for the SNP, and let's face it, he hates the United Kingdom. He wanted Scotland to be separated from the rest of the United Kingdom. So he just hates everything about us Britishness. And that man, and you said it, Dan, it's chilling what he's saying. And I sat there in amazement about the 9/11 thing. To say that Muslims weren't responsible and that Muslims responsible for the building the United States of America is absolutely another couple of lies.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. They're responsible for blowing up,
Yes.
the two most important buildings in the United States of America, certainly not for building anything. Father Calvin, is there a growing acknowledgement in the US of the threat of Islamism? Because again, this is another area where there is a very obvious split on the right. I mean, amongst the Mamdani election, I saw brilliant, brave commentary, for example, about Megyn Kelly, who just said, no, we do not want our leaders to be Islamist. But there's also the Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson wing, who are trying to, I would argue, really undermine the threat posed by Islam to the West.
Yeah, I think a lot of conservative Americans are waking up to the fact that Islam is so toxic just by looking at our country, looking at Britain and the rest of Western Europe that's been pretty much taken over by Islam at this point. And people in America are looking at that and thinking, this is very sad. How do we avoid that? Because Islam isn't as big over here in the States. There are places like Minnesota, which President Trump quite rightly addressed this week. And there's also here in Michigan, where I'm based. Dearborn has more Arabs in it than the rest of the US combined. It's got the biggest mosque in the country. And it's incredible that the Mohammedan mayor of Dearborn recently said to a Christian pastor, there's no place for people like you in my city, and I'll celebrate when you leave. And so they're already grasping for power. They're trying to create a Sharia city in Texas. And in fact, more mosques have popped up in Texas over the last 2 years than anywhere else. And so there's a clear sign of that, they like to show their dominance. They like to conquer. This is what they do. It's a conquering ideology. But people are thankfully waking up to it, and it's not too late here. So I hope that they can turn it around. And to hear President Trump saying, actually, I don't like that. I don't want that in my country. That's what they need to be. They need to be brave enough to say, no, Islam is not compatible with Western life, with Christendom. We don't want it here. Thank you very much.
I think it's important, actually, let's just take a look at Donald Trump, where he made those comments in regard to Somalian people. And again, I think it's the type of bravery that we need to see from our leaders. Watch this. But first, have you ever actually looked at the nutrition label on a normal bag of crisps? You'll usually find a complete chemical cocktail, seed oils, MSG, artificial dyes, vague natural flavors, and a list of ingredients that reads more like a science experiment than a snack. And then we wonder why we feel bloated, tired, and frankly a bit grim after we eat them. That's why I was so interested when I discovered Masa. They're part of this growing real food movement, bringing back the kind of food our grandparents ate before snacks started being made in labs. Now, Masa's tortilla chips contain just 3 ingredients: organic, nixtamalized corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. That's it. So no seed oils, no mystery chemicals, just real food. And here's the crucial bit. They don't just avoid all the rubbish, they actually taste incredible. Snacking on Masa chips is nothing like eating regular chips. With Masa, you feel satisfied, light, and energetic. There's no crash, no bloat, no horrible sluggish feeling afterwards because they're made with real food. They're more satisfying too. So you're not mindlessly inhaling half a family bag and still feeling hungry afterwards. And if you love Masa, you will also love their sister company, Vandy Crisps. You know how much I love crisps, but Vandy makes the most delicious 3-ingredient potato chips. Proper flavor, proper crunch, without the garbage ingredient list. So ready to give Masa or Vandy a try? You can use the code Outspoken for 25% off your first order at masachips.com or vandycrisps.com. Or it might be easier, you can simply click the link in the video description box below or scan the QR code on screen to claim this delicious offer. And for our viewers in the United States, Masa and Vandy are now available nationwide at your local Sprouts supermarket. So stop by and pick up a couple of bags before they're gone. But now, back to the show.
And they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too. I can say it about other countries, too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain, and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
100%.
Thank you very
100%.
much.
And I mean, Howard Cox, can we not say that? Can our leaders not start saying that to Islamists like Humza Yousaf, like Sadiq Khan, like Shabana Mahmood, who want to destroy our culture?
Yes, please. And it's happening with Rupert Lowe saying it, and so is Ben Habib. I mean, Ben Habib, let's face it, is half Pakistan, and he's proud of his Pakistan heritage, but he's also proud to be a true blue British person who believes in our country, in our history, in our culture, in our Christianity. He's phenomenal what he says. I've been to meeting after meeting. I've spoken with him on the various stages, and every time he talks about exactly that. We cannot have our country invaded by people we don't want here. And to hear,
we can't.
to hear Donald Trump say that, says we don't want them here. I've heard Ben say it, and I've heard Rupert Lowe say that.
Father Calvin Robinson, that's true, isn't it? But I mean, we need more politicians. We need more politicians to stop cowering in the United Kingdom and look to the US, where there is this boldness and this bravery, because we're so far behind and it's our country and our culture that is being destroyed as a result.
Well, Donald Trump said, didn't he, this may not be politically correct, but I'm going to say it anyway. And that's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear people being politically correct. I want to hear them being correct. I want to hear the truth. And if we're inviting so much of the third world into our country that it becomes the third world, that's not a good thing. We can still help people. We can still help refugees. We can still have a number of asylum seekers. What we can't have is open borders. What we can't have is people coming, military-aged men coming daily, thousands or hundreds daily, to invade our country. We can't have that. And the number one job of the politician, of the representatives of the people, is to protect the people, is to protect the borders. Everything else comes secondary to that. And so if they're not doing that, they're not doing their job. I want to hear British politicians, ones that are already elected in the Houses of Parliament, saying, we don't want them here. Or even better, they have to go back.
Absolutely. Very well put. From my superstar panel today, Father Calvin Robinson, co-host of Fox and Father, the brilliant Reclaim media show with Lawrence Fox, and Howard Cox, as we know, the head of Fair Fuel UK, his brilliant campaigning organisation, which has succeeded in keeping fuel duty frozen for the 15th year in a row. And also now a member of the Advance UK College. Thank you both so much. And we're going to reveal today's greatest Britain and Union jackass in just one moment. But first, to your feedback today, and lots of it about our political figures here in the UK. But in regards to Trump, Scarpets said Donald Trump has seen how bad it could get for the US because he's been to the UK enough to see it in action. Juliet Johnson says Rupert Lowe should stop waiting for Kemi Badenoch to resign and leave the Tory party. Join Advance UK, Rupert. SRY says, I don't trust Humza Yousaf. Why is he always doing press conferences? He is not an MP. Rupert Lowe for PM. I couldn't agree more. And Russ E28 says Farage didn't even support Howard when he stood for London Mayor. Only person to support him was Rupert. And from Ben Belzer, Tommy Robinson leading the Unite the Kingdom rally was a hugely positive, distinct turning point for the UK. Well, I certainly hope that is the case. I certainly hope we will look back and think that moment, especially that last Unite the Kingdom rally, was a turning point. Okay, a reminder of your nominees for today's greatest Britain and Union jackass. The worst Britain in the world today is between Meghan Markle, nominated by Darren Donaldson, back for a Christmas grift special, nauseating. Ahmed Yacoub, the criminal defence lawyer, former independent candidate for the West Midlands mayoralty in 2024. He was nominated by Matt Cass, 48, who says Birmingham is indeed finished, but possibly for different reasons than what this dumbass thinks. And Lenny Henry, nominated by Mother Clanger, for again demanding reparations for every British black person. He's made a decent living in this country. I reckon we've paid in full. Okay, to your results. In third position with 14% of the vote, Meghan Markle. The runner-up with 21% of the vote, Ahmed Yacoub. But today's Union jackass with a whopping 66% of the vote, 2/3 of you agreeing here, it's Lenny Henry. And today's greatest Britain, nominated by Sarah Booth, for revealing the court's offer to do more hours, including 24-hour courts, but David Lammy refused, is Robert Jenrick. The Conservative Shadow Justice Secretary, Sarah Booth, says, what price is our right to be tried by our peers? And of course, according to the reports that we discussed earlier in the show, Robert Jenrick now a defection target for Reform UK. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.